Well, Catherine Soy joins me now from the Ethiopian capital, Addis Ababa. Catherine, it does seem that the involvement of Amhara forces in the conflict in Tigray's area seems to, you might say, complicate a very difficult process to try and find a way forward for peace, if that's at all possible.
Well, at this point, it's very difficult to see how peace is feasible. Both sides are holding their ground. The Tigrayan forces really saying that they will not relent. And the Amhara officials, and we did speak to the vice president of Amhara region, saying that they're deploying more Amhara special forces to these frontline areas, territories that are disputed. Currently, those territories are mapped in western and southern Tigray, but the Amhara officials saying that historically those lands belong to the Amhara people. The Tigrayans accusing Amhara forces of taking advantage of this conflict that started in November to seize territories, and saying that those territories, Tigrayan territories, are what they want to take back. So there's a lot of hardline positions and people really saying that they need peace. And the vice president we spoke to saying that there needs to be a peaceful resolution because right now it's a planting season. People are being evicted from their farms and they need to be in their farms. But he also said that there's no legitimate government that would stand still and watch its people being killed or being evicted from their homes. The same story coming from Tigrayan leaders saying that people are being killed and, you know, accusing Amhara forces of human rights abuses. So right now, very difficult to see a feasible, peaceful solution.
Catherine Soy in Addis Ababa, thanks very much for the update. Well, let's take a closer look, in fact, at Ethiopia's diverse ethnic groups. Though the Oromo community is the largest, making up 35% of the population. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed is the first Oromo leader. Now, the Amhara people are the second largest, and they say that they're being increasingly marginalised politically. Although Tigrayans make up 5% of the population, they're in charge of the country for 27 years. The northern region of Tigray remains in a state of conflict as Tigrayan forces push south against government forces and their allies. And over in the east of the country, ethnic Somalis make up the majority of people living in the Ogaden region. It has a history of separatist rebellion against the central government. Samuel Getachew is an independent journalist based in Ethiopia. Joins me now via Skype from Addis Ababa. Good to have you with us on the programme. I mean, this new front between government forces and Tigrayans and now the Amharic forces only really does complicate a very volatile situation on the ground.
They've been having this kind of conflicts, sometimes invisible conflicts, for a long, long time, since the beginning of the TPLF coalition era of 1992, and this is just becoming much bigger than it has ever been. We've been watching it from a distance. The Amhara administration is mobilizing thousands of soldiers to defend pieces of land, towns they've taken from the Tigray side. So this seems to be moving forward and impacting so many people.
Do the government and its security forces have the numbers and the strength to fight on so many fronts or struggle on so many fronts?
It will be a challenge, but the Prime Minister said he's going to mobilize up to 1 million young people to defend the interest of the federal government. And there's a motivation to defend and to embrace what the Prime Minister has been talking since November. This is, a nationalistic conflict for the sake of Ethiopia, and there are many people, young people willing to fight, and he seems to have the numbers to move forward.
Obviously, this last few months, we focused very much on Tigray, but which of these groups really does form the strongest threat to Prime Minister Abiy's rule?
Well, if you look at Oromo, the Oromo side, there is, a growing misgivings about this prime minister. There's also the OLF, the Oromo side that did not participate in the current election that just concluded a few weeks ago. And the threat for him really comes from Oromia. But there's also misgivings all over the country. Conflicts, while we focus on the Tigray region, this kind of conflict is all over the country. and it's from every single part of the country. And this is really challenging the government in an era where it's really having no resources to move forward with growing challenges of unemployment and investors that are moving away. So this challenge is going to go onward for the new elected Prime Minister.
Samuel Getachew, always good to get your insight. Thanks for joining us from Addis Ababa.